Here we are, camped at Rose Canyon. Beautiful spot. Trees are just gorgeous. I hear a little thunder, but we have a lot of nice weather overhead. The blue sky. We don't have room to put our awning down. We didn't bring our dome, but this is our little room outside. And here comes Raymond. Oh, he's gonna work a puzzle.
I'm not gonna leave until I get the puzzle figured out.
And we're also getting ready to have a fire. Got the fire started, and the thunder and the clouds are rolling in, so we may have more of a problem than we hoped for. We're going to use the bare food protector to put our wood in to keep it dry. This is fun. It's so peaceful and quiet up here. And I'm talking to the camera. And we had to kind of rush supper because it was making so much noise. Grumbling, the thunder grumbling. And now we've got sun in the trees. It's so pretty and so peaceful. I love ponderosa pine. They're so pretty. There seem to be so many young trees. It's really neat. Now we got ice floes.
An iceberg last night. But they assure us that it's unsinkable.
Is that a cloud? We're leaving College Fjord, where we've seen the glaciers. The first ones we're going to see. It's too bad that the weather is rainy, but I guess this is kind of typical for this area. Here we're leaving College Fjord. There were two glaciers, but the one's hidden, so that's the other one. Keep seeing these low-flying clouds laying in there. I'm standing on the back of the boat, taking the... I went up on the top deck where you see the jogging track there, looking out towards the front as we come around into wider water. Holland America Line. Holland America Line. Ooh, why isn't it getting clear? That's the symbol of the Holland America Line. That came in clear. Holland America Line. We're on the Statendom. We come around to Point of Land and we're going to see a bay back in there. There's a glacier. We're going to see a lot bigger glaciers than that though. There's that little bay. Looking back over the stern of the boat as we're leaving College Fjord. Wandering around, I found the indoor pool and the jacuzzis. If it was nice weather, there's a sliding roof over it. Coasting along. 22 miles an hour is the fastest we go. We're going between lots of islands, so here we can see out, we're able to see out to sea. And there another island comes. Sure is cloudy. Nod deck. It's gonna be great, but ooh, it's windy today. I'm on the other side now from where our room is, so we're not seeing all the islands. So I walked across to the other side on the promenade deck. And this is the view on this side. Where we see the islands. Then we can, I think, see out the ocean. All the way back. There's someone promenading. And there's an island that we passed. Well, we're passing an ocean tanker like it's standing still. And boy, these waves are getting bigger. We must be able to see right out to the ocean now. I'm going to see if I can get the wake here. Woo, are we ever making a lot of... It's pretty rough. I'm feeling it a little bit in my head as I walk around the ship. The sea is so violent, I'm taking a picture to see if I can get a picture of that. The waves are pretty big, and then when the ship's bow hits them, it's really making the foam high, and the ship's also swaying so much that when I'm walking I have trouble keeping my footing. We're taking a ranger aboard today, and so I'm just looking out to get to see the little boat that's letting them off. We're also getting a Indian interpreter. That's going to be fun today. And also, as we're entering Glacier Bay, and I'm looking out, there's a big sailboat.
We'll get the low over in the corner right there. In the corner? Yeah.
Wow, neato. This is a big place to sail. Ray was just asking if what it would be like to sail in this bay. We're going to see a lot of glaciers today. The clouds are still hanging in there though. Wow, look how low they are over there. Lost my focus. There. Is it gonna stay? Nope. Out of range, I guess. We decided that's a very pretty picture.
My daughter has gone on more fishing trips than this slap.
And that land must come out shallow because we just passed a green buoy that was out here close to us. But we're going into Glacier Bay now. We've been having a lot of rain, and so you can see the raindrops on the window.
And I know we went on a fishing trip in the park, and I started getting sick of this.
Yeah, that's what she does. She wakes up when we get back to port.
That's a lot of
$50
fishing.
later.
Got to come in clear. I keep having trouble focusing.
Enters the ocean and is currently a receding or retreating glacier, shrinking in size like most of the glaciers in Glacier Bay. So we'll talk a lot today about glacial retreat, the fact that this landscape has been revealed from glacial ice. Some of the glaciers in Glacier Bay, though, are actually stable or advancing. So although the story here in Glacier Bay dominantly is one of glacial retreat, the glaciers we see today each have their own dynamic, these particular rivers of ice that flow down from the mountainsides to join the ocean.
Oh, beautiful perching. Beautiful.
Bald eagles perching. Ooh, I finally made it out to the front observation deck. It's cold out here and windy.
I was better than that.
There's the navigation deck. We were above that earlier today in the crow's nest.
Can any of you pick out the glacier already? Can you see it there off the port side of the ship with its pinnacles just starting to sort of appear over the rocky ridgeline? This time of year, there is so much snow all the way down to the water's edge that it's sometimes hard to pick out the glaciers themselves from this year's snow. And you may be interested to know that a month from now, virtually all of the snow you see, a good 1,000, 2,000 feet up the mountainside, will all be gone. So May is a very white month in Glacier Bay, but within a matter of a month or so, much of the snow we're seeing right now will be melted. The glaciers, of course, remain year-round. So I encourage all of you to head outside. Lamplugh is a very, very spectacular blue glacier, and we'll have a very good view of it close up, again on the port side of the ship. Each of the glaciers that we'll see today very much has its own appearance. They each have their own character or personality, so to speak. The Lamplugh Glacier is also born from the Brady Ice Field. Like the Reed Glacier, it has flowed about 12 miles downslope, but it has made a very different journey than the Reed Glacier. Each of these glaciers makes a particular journey down a particular mountain valley. And although we know that glaciers have the power to shape the earth around us, these rivers of ice are also very much shaped by the earth they travel over and through. So the relationship between the ice and the land is very reciprocal and close. So each of these glaciers has made a particular journey. Some glaciers have had to turn very tight corners and twist their bodies. Others have had to heave themselves up and over uneven ground. The parts of the glacier that are in contact with the mountain, the sides and the base of the glacier, tend to be held back by drag, whereas the middle and top of the glacier glide down slope with gravity a little more
I'm
quickly.
wondering if that's it, because I said some of them are look black on the front. I bet that's him.
Lots of deformation. And these glaciers that we'll see today, in general, are extremely fractured and cracked and jagged. We'll see lots of sharp pinnacles and crevasses in these glaciers.
Huh?
Michelle, is that the John Hopkins? No. That was the John Hopkins.
No, neither. John Hopkins is all the way up here and to the left, about 10 miles.
This isn't the John
No, this is the Lamp 4.
Lamplugh, that
4.
exactly.
Wow, it's jagged, isn't it?
Yeah.
What's up that way though?
The water's turning up that way.
Ooh, there it is. It's blue. The Lamplugh Glacier. Be nice to see it caving.
Yeah, right?
Craggy top. Blue color. It's way Wow, that's really blue.
Excuse me.
Uh-huh. Gonna get a better view here in a minute.
More gorgeous than do that.
Now we're up there close, you can tell it's really, really wide. Wow. How many feet that is.
Leave, and then they'll be in the back row.
It's so craggy on top. Some of them are smooth. Some of them are craggy. Going right down between these two peaks, making a river of ice.
I'd also like to point out the range of colors here. This time of year, as I mentioned before, we still have lots of this winter's and spring snow laying on top of the glacier. So see if you can make out that fairly thin layer of fresh white snow on top of the glacier, which will be gone in a matter of weeks, most likely. But you'll note that there are lots of different colors in this glacier. The colors of a glacier reveal much to us about what a glacier is made of. Lots and lots of dark coloration, particularly along the edges of the glacier, remind us that glaciers are made up not only of ice, but also of rock. Particularly along the edges of the glacier, where the river of ice rubs up against the mountainside on its journey down the slope, it picks up lots of sediment from probably house-sized boulders down to very small pebbles. It picks up and incorporates sediment into its body. So on the edges of the glacier and also at the front of the glacier, if we were able to see the base of this glacier, which sits down beneath the water's surface on the sea floor, we would see a huge pile of rubble and sediment that this glacier has bulldozed forward. So lots of black and dark rocks are one of the ingredients in a glacier. Of course, much of that rock is ground down as the glacier bulldozes its way down slope, and it's ground down into a fine sediment and it's put into the sea. So the water right up near the glaciers is often
Missed it, but there was just a cave in there. It splashed into the water. We just keep getting up real close. As the lady next to me said, that she can see the reflection in the water.
See how we can spend 3 hours here. We're barely doing.
Oh, the other fish probably saw it.
See the wife?
Way over there.
See the wife? Maybe how he maintains his sanity. With a wife and a couple of kids.
The camera picks up the color.
I don't think so. I don't think you have to push the button. This thing does anything. Oh yeah, they do. You got all the blah blah. There must be
It's like a cave inside the glacier. The Lampu Glacier.
There are creatures like sleeper sharks and mussels and sea urchins and particular fish species that have made their way up to and have made their homes right in the face of tidewater.
Salt water causes the glacier to fall in, and they're called cave-ins.
Okay, yes.
It'd be nice if we could catch one on the camera. Ooh, can you get that peak that's behind that one? did that. Auto maybe, huh? Oh, there's infinity. Oh, Raymond, that's...
And then to its right, it's sort of difficult to distinguish glacier, the Grand Pacific Glacier. There's so much rock and debris at the face of the Grand Pacific Glacier that it blends in with the mountainside. But the Grand Pacific Glacier, full of rock, is one I'd like to talk about for a moment, Glacier Bay. Because the Grand Pacific Glacier, now 2 miles wide, 25 miles long, and about 200 feet deep from the very bottom of the glacier where it sits on the sea floor, all the way up to the highest pinnacles of the glacier. This glacier is thought to be the primary glacier that filled Glacier Bay 200 years ago. Well, when a glacier moves down slope, it pushes in front of it or bulldozes a tremendous amount of sediment and material, and it builds up what we call a terminal moraine, or a collection of sediment, that for a tidewater glacier is particularly important because the terminal moraine serves as a barrier or a shield from salt water. It actually protects the face of the glacier, the ice, from the very corrosive forces of salt water. Well, what we think happened to the Grand Pacific Glacier about 200 years ago, about the time George Vancouver sailed through icy straits, is that when it pushed out past the mouth of Glacier Bay, that the swiftness of the ocean currents swept away its terminal moraine, that also because of the topography of the sea floor and an underwater cliff, that it lost much of its shield of rock and sediment, that the ice face of Grand Pacific became exposed to the salt water and very quickly began eroding up bay. So as soon as the glacial ice was revealed to the powerful erosive forces of salt water, it very quickly unzipped up bay, creating what is thought to be the most rapid glacial retreat ever to take place that we know of on the planet. The Grand Pacific Glacier has started since advancing again. So if you look on your map and you look at the lines and dates, you'll see that since the early part of the 20th century, the Grand Pacific Glacier has started growing yet again, reminding us that this cycle of advancement and retreat is cyclic in Glacier Bay. There have been multiple phases, 4 we think, since the Pleistocene, that Glacier Bay has filled with glacial ice and then been exposed by glacial retreat.
Pretty amazing, huh? That was fun.
Well, it sure pushes a lot of dirt and sediment with it. And that is the glacier.
Now off the port side of the ship. Particularly for those of you with binoculars, I encourage you to scan these many, many dots, really hundreds of white dots on the cliff sides. These are actually a type of bird called a black-legged kittiwake. It's a type of gull. And this seems like a rather unlikely or surprising location for a bird colony. They build their nests on very tiny ledges on the vertical walls, and they sort of plaster their nests. Ooh, some calving happening on Marjorie Glacier. They plaster their nests on the cliff wall. They come by the thousands in the summer months to breed and raise their chicks here next to marshes. And they're actually utilizing the glacier's dynamics, the glacier itself, to find food. When chunks of ice fall down off the face of this glacier into the water, it causes a lot of turbulence and stirring. And in doing so, this ice crashing into the water, small schooling fish and crustaceans are brought up to the surface and revealed, made available to these gulls, who can then fly in and suck them from just beneath the surface. So I encourage you to watch, if the glacier, if we're lucky enough to see the glacier calve, I encourage you to watch these up and outside, this is your best chance to see and hear, sort of get a feel for the glacial ice. This may be the only opportunity in your life, or one of the few opportunities, to stand face to face with a tidewater glacier and actually to see the face of the glacier changing and to see the constant flux that takes place where sea meets ice. Marjorie Glacier is a mile top of the highest pinnacle down to where it sits on the seafloor, and about 2/3 of that is visible to us above the water. 100 feet of the glacier is actually below sea level, out of our view, where it sits down on the seafloor. This glacier has traveled 14 miles downslope from its source high up in the Fairweather Mountains, and it's moved very quickly downslope. It travels at a rate of about 6 feet a day with gravity.
Wow.
So about 2,000 feet a year, each part of the glacier moves forward, or a particular ice crystal perhaps in the glacier moves forward closer to the sea. Someone asked earlier how old the glacier or the ice is at the face of the glacier. We estimate anywhere between 150 and 400 years old, the chunks of ice that we now are getting to see fall into the sea. It's taken them that long to follow the snowflake on the top of Mount Fairweather, become part of the glacier, and travel downslope to meet the ocean. So again, here at the face of the glacier, where this ice is flowing into the sea, there's a constant exchange. The glacier offers to the sea cold and fresh water.
Looks like the mountain where the glacier begins its trek, 14 miles to the sea. Sure would like to see a calving. The calving means that like a cow gives birth to a calf, they give birth to icebergs. I tried to get that gull. Three harbor seals just laying there on the ice. They say that they like to lay up on the ice because the orca whales can't get close to them, and that's the orca whale's main food.
Okay, we're going to try to find, look at the seals first.
They lost them. There they are again. They're just asleeping. I keep waiting for a cabin, so I'm still here. Little cabin, not a very big one. Wow, there was a calving. I hope I got it. Another little one. Saying goodbye to Marjorie. Didn't see a big calving, we saw little ones. They're really amazing, those glaciers.
Where to go this morning? Did it say on your ticket?
Well, we're getting in close to land here as we're going down some kind of channels to get to Sitka.
Getting pretty close then. Wow. Get on my side of the bed and see.
Still some nice mountains. With snow, they just go on and on and on. Ooh, and there's that fog. This is Wednesday morning as we're Gonna get to Sitka in about an hour. At least we're having calm seas. Everything is a view and something I want to take a picture of. But that looks nice. That looks like maybe there's some clearing in the clouds, which we've had solidly since we arrived on Sunday. So that would be very nice. And there, closer to us, it's still hanging low on the mountaintop. I even see some sun. Yay! And there is a little town. I don't know whether that's Sitka or not, because we're an hour early. There's our tender. Sitka doesn't have a dock, so we have to go ashore on the tender. Wow, that's a big guy. And there's the town of Sitka. Let's see if I can pick. Yeah, there's that flock of birds flying. There you get an overview. There's smoke up there. And there's also clouds. Hit the tall mountain. Nestled, the town's nestled right up next to that mountain. And it almost looks like an island that there's some houses on. Right there. There they are. But maybe that's just a spit of land because you can't tell. Mountains all around. They're just gorgeous. And there is a peak that Ray drew my attention to, right over the top. I had to take that back of the boat. There's a peak over there with snow covered. And there's the swimming pool off the back of the boat. I've had breakfast now, so I'm looking at off the other side of the ship. There's an island with a house, more little houses in there. What a lovely place. Wow. There's a big mountain. And all of our going ashore boats waiting for us. I'm on the lower promenade deck, and they're looking at the bottom of the lifeboats. And they're looking at the tender going fast away from us. I'm getting ready to go into the Wajang Theater to catch my cruise, or my shore tour. There's a bridge to that island. We're in a parade. Right under the bridge. the statendum that we left. Nestled in there. That's her bow. Here we are at the Raptor Center. Do you like to be photographed? Huh? Do you like to be photographed?
Follow your way into the auditorium. Coffee and tea. They look so evil. Their eyes. It's not evil, but very. Per square inch at the tips of its talons. That would be like you balancing a Volkswagen Bug on your big toe. So very, very strong feet. And the third is they have a hook sharp beak that is used to rip and tear meat.
Coming to visit our center. This is Volta. Came to our center in 1992 after he collided with a power line. That collision left him with several injuries. He had a concussion, an eye injury, some electrocution burns, and a broken coracoid. The coracoid is a bone in the bird's shoulder region that's extremely critical to their flying ability. All of Volta's injuries healed, but that coracoid did not heal well enough for him to ever be released back into the wild. He can fly straight and down for limited distances, but he cannot fly up or gain lift. So he would not be able to get into the...
Here we are at the Raptor Center, and you can see the fence there. And this bird is being brought back to health so it can be released into the wild. We have lovely grounds here. There's a neat stream running by. They take care of about 200 birds a year. It's really a neat place. There's a juvenile. He doesn't have his white head yet. And she was telling us that the mature birds have white head, white tail, yellow eyes, and yellow beak. So this little guy isn't mature yet. There's another one down there. He looks mature. Lovely white heads.
I wish it would turn its head a little bit.
And that's the training that
Oh, there he is.
part of the education.
Got him.
Hello.
And then they have a separate rehabilitation program. And that's strictly for year-round staff to volunteer. We are not allowed to volunteer. No, we can't do that.
They have all kinds of birds here, but they mainly work with raptors. Attaboy, turn your head around so he can see you. The forest is really big and thick around here, but I was attracted to the moss. It's really thick too on all the logs that are laying down. It's very, very thick. Very interesting. Wow, the trees are so tall. I wonder if these are the trees that we've been looking at while we are passing all these mountains. These are some of the older totem poles. There's a tall one here. Sitka Historical Park. Sitka National Historical Park. The governor brought in several old totems that were 100 years old when he brought them, and now there are some new ones that are, there's a carver that actually works here that does carving.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen.
There's a really big one.
National Historical Park. The National Park Service would like to invite you to view
Recarved to make it look newer. This is on the wall inside the museum. There's the carving of the totem pole with the finished product of the face. blankets have the same designs. Shows some of the ballads that come. People of tradition, people of change. It shows their the helmet, the hats that they made, clothing they wore, the designs on their clothing. Shows a Tlingit warrior, maybe. The name is spelled with a TL, so I didn't know how to pronounce it. Could be. There's a path that goes into the woods there from the cultural center. At the beginning of the path is another totem pole. Outside, looking at the bay and the tidal pools with the tide out. One of the ship's tenders passing back and forth. And the snow-capped peaks all around. It's gorgeous country.
The name of the volcano there looks suspiciously like Mount Fuji is. Not interesting. It's by Captain Cook.
Show off today with one of the many folk dances representing the popular Russian word troika. In this dance, you will see two teams of 3 horses pulling the Russian sleigh, or troika. Thank you. Is a small village somewhere in the heartland of Russia. The tradition in this village is that a young gentleman gives a young lady a one-of-a-kind scarf or handkerchief to show his special affection for her. A young woman has received such a scarf and is proudly displaying it and admiring it in the village square when along comes another young woman with an identical scarf, obviously given to her by the same young gentleman. Let's see what develops as the young man enters the scene in the handkerchief dance.
is done at weddings.
Gold is what our early sourdoughs and miners came for, their fortunes. The bear, or the dipper, stands for the strength of our state. And the North Star is my wishing star, because I hope that one day Alaska will become a state of the United States. His wish came true in 1959, when our flag became the 49th flag in the circle of flags for the states, the United States. And his explanation of his symbols was so moving to a Juneau lady that Marie Drake made it into a poem. And then from the poem that she had formed, a friend of hers, Eleanor Dusenberry, made it into a song. It's become our state song, the flag song, and it's my privilege to introduce it to you this morning. 8 stars of gold on a field of blue, Alaska's flag may it mean to you. The blue of the sea, the evening sky, the mountain lakes and the flowers nearby, the gold of the early sourdough's dreams, the precious gold of the hills and streams, the brilliant stars in the northern sky, the bear, the dipper, and rising high, the great North Star with its steady light, o'er land and sea, a beacon bright, Alaska's flag to Alaskans dear, the symbol flag of the last frontier.
Dance for you today is the beautiful Berioska gliding dance. imagination on the part of the audience. So if you could imagine now that we are somewhere at port in the Black Sea, and all but 2 sailors have been granted shore leave. It seems these 2 sailors had just a little too much fun the last time they had shore leave, and now they're left on the ship to do all the work. It's not something they're very excited about, but they're jobs that need to be done nonetheless. You'll see them hauling freight, moving lines, and snapping to attention in a Russian sailor tap. To answer for you our most frequently asked to join us. We told them we were going to have a great time. We were going to meet some wonderful people. We were going to get great exercise, and didn't they want to do it too? Well, their unanimous reply was, no thank you. We did not come to Sitka to dance in our spare time, and besides, they added, you'll never get that group off the ground. Well, with those wonderful words of encouragement, we plowed right on ahead, and here we are now, over 30 years later. We have performed as many as 300 shows in a summer, and can safely say we're well off the ground. An added advantage we never thought of in 1969 are the wonderful opportunities we've had for travel and performing. We've traveled throughout Alaska, we've traveled to Russia, Japan, the Caribbean, and many of the lower 48 states. And now, every now and then, a young gentleman will come up to us and see how much fun we're having and say, can I join your group? And it's our turn to say, no thank you. You see, the other thing we didn't realize in 1969 also was how handy these guys are at home with the kids and the housework while we're out dancing and traveling and performing for folks such as yourselves. So all in all, we really have not done it by ourselves, and they are a very big part of our show here. Our last dance for you today is our very special dance for us. It's our way of saying thank you. Thank you for coming to Sitka, and thank you for being such a wonderful audience. Now, folk dance does encourage audience participation, so please feel free to stomp your hands, clap your feet, and enjoy with us our Russian finale. До свидания.
there's an eagle sitting on that tree. And then I'm going to pan the waterfront. Because we've come around the corner of the island, and this is a harbor. There's a lot of ships. Some factories of some kind. With the mountain peaks above. And the bridge in the background.
The blue building, and then there's another blue building further on down towards the bridge.
Those trees across
provide us with.
There's one on the tree.
Islands are wonderful.
Off in the distance here on the right, you're going to see a little lighthouse coming out. He's kind of just in and out of the islands there. That's a bed and breakfast.
Oh, how fun.
Owned by one of the characters in town. He's kind of generated his own character
there's our ship turned sideways.
in the activities that he do. He's the oldest of the several. He looks a whole lot again like Fuji.
3,200 feet tall.
We had in town here a couple years ago.
Remember the name? No, I don't
the husband and wife.
About Edgecombe. No,
he was the CEO of.
Their swimming hole. When the tide is out, they have about a 12 feet tide.
Just in the town, I suppose, just like everybody else, and they were getting ready to leave.
We're making our stop at St. Michael's Episcopal Church, and these are the Russian-type towers. The church has burned a couple times, so this is a newer version, but they've saved many of the icons. This is the front of St. Michael's. Way up the clock tower and seeing that one spire with the cross. We've arrived in Juneau, and there's two ships behind us, and I don't know why I'm all foggy. I can't see. Oh, don't tell me. Only 15 minutes left on the battery? How could that be? Oh my goodness. This is some of the harbor in Juneau. It's a big town. Must be a bridge someplace when we can see. Sitting on the bus, I can see the ship and the gangway.
On our wildlife management systems. If it's too warm or cold, let me know. So our number one, we really like to drive, we just don't have anywhere to drive to.
The scenery around Juneau is just beautiful. It's a rainy day. And it has its own beauty.
Go crazy, so I just love the clouds in the mountain. Anyway,
this is my first view of the Mendenhall Glacier as we've driven through town in Juneau. I'm walking up the trail that they had. I could have taken an elevator, but I'm needing some exercise. But the woods are pretty, even though it's rainy and wet. And Mike, our driver, told us that they have 90 inches of rain a year, so that this is a typical day in Juneau. This is going to be the visitor center as I've come up, and as I look out toward the glacier, there's a very wide waterfall coming down, and there's the glacier. And the mountain above. There's the Mendenhall Glacier from the visitor center.
Spot on top of the rock there.
So how wide is it?
It's a mile and a half wide and 12 miles long.
Mile and a half wide and 12 miles long. How deep?
At the deepest point, they figure it's about 800 feet deep.
800 feet deep.
Between 6 and
Wow.
800 feet deep at the widest depth. Yes.
Now is it active growing?
It actually is receding some. It moves 2 feet a day this way because of the gravity, and to be a glacier it has to be moving at all times. And moves 2 feet this way, but it actually recedes 2 feet 3 inches or 2 feet 6 inches, so we're losing between 3 and 6 inches a day.
I see. This was very interesting about from desolation to diversity and how the land comes back as the glacier recedes. I've walked down a trail and have gotten closer to the Mendenhall Glacier face. I'm going to continue up the trail. As I came by, there were all these smooth rocks, and there's the visitor center up on the hill, and they talked about these smooth rocks showing signs of the glacier's movement over them because the glacier left them smooth. And there, one thing I read talked about the lichen being one of the things that begins to grow, and so there it has started to grow on these rocks that were once covered by the glacier. There's the mountain. It has the ice field behind it, and then there's the waterfall that comes down from melting ice, and then we come out to the Mendenhall Glacier. Doesn't look so big from here, but it's a mile and a half at the base. Wow. There's some of the icebergs that are broken off and are still floating in the area. There's a rock hill that was left as the glacier receded, and it also has the lichen on it. Okay, there I got it. Having trouble with my viewfinder focusing.
About 50 to 70 feet the last few years. Yeah, so it is. Yeah, they figure about 2,000 years
with the focus. I don't know what's going on, but I continue looking down
as it is right now.
the landscape to the river.
Pretty unlikely that there'll be no
I'm
other
standing
changes,
on
whether it goes back quicker or
a rock promontory as a viewing point. But I'm not getting it clear again. What's the matter?
This is an incubation in early winter. Then in the spring, or later in the winter, in the early spring, they'll hatch at that stage they're called salmon eulabin. There's yolk cells.
The king salmon is one of the 5 salmon that are bred here. It's just a display of some of the boats. Of a bear. Nice display of the mature eagle and the immature eating the salmon that they've caught. We're in the fish hatchery, the salmon hatchery.
And just to help enhance the local fisheries, we want to make sure there's enough salmon out there for everyone to do what they do and not deplete the natural stocks of salmon. The way that we do that is probably the most important process of their whole little fish life. What they do is spend 4 to 12 weeks memorizing the smell of the water. Scientists say that each...
This is the front of the fish hatchery. And again, it's set in the setting under this beautiful hill. With all the fog setting in. And my bus is waiting for me. As we return to the ship, I thought I'd just take a picture from the dock. So we're going up on higher floor this time. And there's all of the tenders. Another ship behind. Looking from the stern of our ship as we're anchored in Juneau. One of the ships left, but there's the second one. And there in the distance, it's a lovely mountain, and looks like it's even got a little bit of sun. We only see the sun from a distance. But this is Alaska, and it's beautiful with its clouds. Juneau's really built on the side of a hill, and there's even a lift that goes way up to the top of that peak. And these trees are just gorgeous. We're close enough to see the green rather than it just looking like dark hills with snow caps on them. This is some of downtown Juneau, and this gorgeous hill is right above the city. Some of the housing on the hill has staircases to go up, and because it's a public walkway, in the wintertime they keep all that snow off even up the stairs for the people. This is a lovely city nestled in the hills. We either see rivers of ice as glaciers or rivers of water from melting snow and glaciers. The waterfalls come down the mountainside. Oh wow, I was just thinking of float planes. And here is the landing for the float planes. The tide must be going out because the walkways are so slanted down. And as they come up, they'll get closer to the shore level. And here's a docking area and a long ramp that comes up to the city level. Wow, that's neat. More of the downtown from the bow of the boat. And then the bridge in the distance that goes across to Douglas Island. And I took pictures over there. Float plane, probably taking someone on tour. Maybe I'll see it land. Might be coming in. See, it flies next to those heavy clouds. Well, these have to be good pilots to fly in this weather. That mountain over there looks really precarious. This street is called Totem Row, and there are totem poles on both sides, and then we're coming up to the Saxman village and seeing that's a beaver clan place. I think that's what she said, and you can see the beaver on there and then the animals on the totem pole. Here's one of the totems on Totem Row. A couple more. There's Tonga Straits with an island on the other. The Game Fox from Cannery. It is an Indian corporation. We're going to walk on the boardwalk as we walk through a bit of the rainforest to get over to the cannery, and then we're going to take the float plane from there. Want to get a picture of the skunk cabbage. There's one down there. It's in bloom. The bears use that as a laxative when they wake up from hibernation. We stopped on that bridge, and the little waterfall is coming down. So pretty. There's an eagle's nest up in the pine forest.
And I'll even pay fishermen's wages. However, I cannot do this without you about so I can have free. It's faster than it is now, and it would also do position twice as high. And it would be important for them not to look up when the power lock is running, because lion's mane is known to come over the power lock as well. That is the type of jellyfish that when touched gives you a stinging sensation.
Everybody? All right, this is the crew over there filling the thing full of cans. Bring them before they shipped them out. These nets on the sides of the shed all belong. They made those out of that time. They made the boots weigh that much because otherwise, if you fell over, you'd never get back up again. And we've got this one all furnished just as it would have been back when they were using it.
Trap shack.
Inside there.
An Indian canoe made out of one log, done by Nathan that we saw at Saxon Village. And he got $50,000 for it, but it took a long time to make it. It looks like an eagle on the front. Or no, it's the raven.
Material on it to find you at night. Also comes with a whistle, a little sound
Survival
signal.
suit that all fishermen have to have.
You also custom. For those of you that would like to try a suit on after I get done here, we've had people from all over the world that have tried these suits.
Man.
18 seconds.
Oh, you think you're going to ask me?
Wow.
Survival things.
Yeah.
We missed our plane ride, and this is why. Because it's raining out there, and they said it would be too uncomfortable for us to fly.
And a lady on the
Don't see on the bus, but the sun on the water looks so pretty, and I just tried to get a picture of it. You see the beginning of the outskirts of Ketchikan as we get back. These are the buildings on Creek Street. It used to be the red light district.
How long has this been built? What's down that you got here?
I came back from my canceled flight and walking down to the drugstore, and I saw this Welcome to Alaska. So this is kind of our goodbye rather than our hello. Ah, the kayakers coming right in under this great big boat. Right in there next to these big ships. Ray and I are gonna do this someday. Oh, this can go right under this dock. Our bus driver told us that this whole city is over water. They're all on docks. And there he came out from underneath the dock. And there they came. They came right out. Wow, they just go every place. Maybe the other guy is his guide or something. Now they're gonna go underneath that dock. And our flight was canceled because the weather was so bad. And here we are with the sun again. We're going along an island on the Canadian coastline.
See the white head? Looks like he's sitting on the end of that pole. We are there.
We passed an Indian village. I didn't get up here in time for the narration. We're really in a narrow channel here. Looked out the window and we were really close to the shore, but I didn't get up here in time. And the channel's going to widen here again. Cold and windy with clouds overhead.